All right, we're live. This is the Halftime Hits brought to you by Broadway Sports. This is our first showing. Mike, I know we only have a little bit of time, so join here with Mike Herndon. Going to be a fun show. We're going to just kind of jump right in. Mike, I would say I'm going to kick it over to you. This is a Titan show I'd probably miss.
They should never kick anything again. Just don't kick or let Brett Kern learn drop kicking. I mean, I don't understand what's happening. 8 of 20 now. 8 of their last 20.
Is there more anxiety for a Titans fan out there right now than seeing any kicker? It doesn't even matter what the name is. Whoever. Adam Vinatieri in his prime coming out there right now would cause anxiety.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure they could break Justin Tucker. It's it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating because it's the thing that you think should just be, all right, we trot a guy out there, he makes 80% of them, we go on down the road, right? But no, not with the Titans. It's 40%. Unbelievable.
And that's what's so funny is you look at it, you have 8 kickers, I think, in the last 2 years. All of them are still employed. You can't understand why because the Titans keep getting rid of them for a reason. So anyways, talked about kicking. I know it's going to be a hot subject how that half just kind of ended. So want to jump in and get your thoughts about let's start with the offense overall. How do you feel?
Shaky start, a lot of penalties early on. Just a click off, I felt like, on some stuff. A.J. Brown turning his hands the wrong way for some reason on the sideline catch. Khalif Raymond with a couple tough catches that he couldn't haul in. So just a little bit off. I don't feel like they've gotten the ground game timing quite right. It doesn't feel like Henry and his blockers are quite in sync at the moment. But, all that stuff kind of I feel like is going to come with time. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that, Titans offense is the Titans offense from the stuff that they're trying to do. They're not trying to do anything different really from last year. I think that's the most almost discouraging thing about the whole thing. We talked all offseason about they're coming into this and they have the consistency that they're going to bring into it. They should be coming into this game as the more mature team with the experience going against a young quarterback. And frankly, it got better in that second quarter. But that first quarter, it was just them looking like the team that made lots of changes in the offseason that doesn't have the maturity and experience. So that first quarter was about as bad as you could start. I mean, I think I have it written down here. 4 penalties, a missed field goal, a player ejected. I mean, that's a terrible way to start.
It's rough. I mean, you look at the box score here. Tannehill's 11 of 18, 135. Meh. Okay. Derrick Henry's got 50 yards on 13 carries. Not a great per carry average, but I mean, this is definitely a lot better than the last time they were in Denver, so we can give them a little bit of credit for that. But obviously the big star offensively has been Corey Davis, 4 catches, 72 yards, and then Michael Pruitt with a hell of a grab for the 1 touchdown. But Davis, are we getting contract year Corey Davis here?
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of things you've been looking for. It's those deep crossers. And frankly, those are the plays that you saw A.J. Brown last year kind of making his big plays on are those delayed play actions with the deep crossers across the middle. A.J. Brown, he's got the 1 catch, but it's kind of been a forgotten man tonight. And frankly, it's been them making plays all around. No, there hasn't been one star outside of Corey Davis. I mean, the wide receiver rotation is what it is. I mean, it's Corey Davis and A.J. Brown, and then it's, they're rotating in your Adam Humphries, but they're going tight end heavy. Michael Pruitt's playing a ton. They're going with a ton of heavy formations. Love the play design on that delayed route to Michael Pruitt for the touchdown. Really took advantage of some of the tells that they've had previously going heavy there with the play action. So really set up. So I really like that play call from Arthur Smith. So I think there's a lot of good things there, but the expectations that you have for this team was this should be a business trip. You show up, you take care of business, and you move on. Disappointment shrouded with there's still potential there, especially on offense.
Yeah, I would say, if you make 2 kicks that you should make 85-90% of the time, you're up 13-7 and you feel pretty good offensively. You didn't have a great half, but you're 13 points and a half, you'll take that most of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move over to the defensive side of the ball. What do you think you saw there? I know what everybody wants to hear about, so we can start with him.
Yeah, let's start with Clowney. Clowney was the best player on defense. Well, I'll say Simmons gives him a run for his money there, but Clowney was all over the field, very disruptive. I thought he tried to do a little too much at times. The play where he got sucked inside against the Drew Lock boot in kind of lost contain there. I feel like he was maybe trying too hard to make a play. But I mean, you can definitely see the value there. The guy is a very tough block. He's in the backfield all the time. I thought he's been awesome. What do you think about the Clowney experience?
I mean, Clowney, he's everything that he was written up to be. He hasn't had these huge splash plays, but he's impacting the defense. And frankly, that's what we said when they signed him. He may not be the greatest on the stat sheet. He may not be putting up 13 sacks, but he's all over the field. Simmons stepped up defensively. Tell you what, the biggest surprise on the defense for me was actually the play of Chris Jackson. They seem to love him. We heard about that in training camp. He's getting a ton of play out here. So he was playing on that opening series before Johnathan Joseph got hurt, and then Christian Fulton comes in. But you talk about a guy, he's playing essentially over your second-round draft pick right there. I don't know if that's necessarily an indictment of Fulton so much as it is a blessing of what they think they have in Chris Jackson.
And listen, we can talk about the long-term ramifications at another time, but if they found a gem in Chris Jackson in the 7th round, that is a huge win for them from a roster-building standpoint. But, I mean, it's way too early to call him that just yet, but a promising start. The cornerbacks, I mean, you look at the Denver wide receivers, they haven't really done anything. It's been all Noah Fant, all of the running backs. Jerry Jeudy has a couple catches, but nothing too damaging. It's been all Noah Fant, and they've got to figure out a way. And I don't know, maybe he gets Byard full time in the second half, but they got to figure out a way to lock him down.
Yeah, and you talk – that's kind of disappointing for me coming in from a coaching staff perspective, because you look at a young quarterback, everybody knows that, what are your easiest throws? It's going to be to your tight ends, and you really seen that in the Denver's passing attack. Yes, you have the completion to Jeudy, but outside of that, it's all – Jake Butt, Nick Vannett, and Noah Fant. And Fant's had the big plays, but he's not the only one that are making impacts. It's pretty clear how they're going to attack it. They're attacking the safeties and they're attacking the linebackers, which, speaking of linebackers, you come into a game where you only have 3 outside linebackers up and healthy, but you have a middle linebacker, which everybody talks about. He's a versatile guy that likes to rush the passer. Well, he doesn't make it out of the first quarter before having a stupid play and getting ejected. The thing that gets me there is that all offseason we're talking about there's no fans in the stands. There's not going to be any emotion on the field. Well, it doesn't seem like he had a problem with that.
Yeah, that's so frustrating from Evans, too, who's a guy that you're wanting to see take the next step as a team leader on defense. And you just can't do that. I mean, we saw, the Browns got a guy ejected for a similar thing last year in the first game. You can't go to the face after the play, and it was a deserved ejection. I mean, taking off the two-tone blue glasses, he absolutely deserved that ejection. So very disappointing from him. And now that you're put in a spot where all of a sudden Will Compton, who's been in training camp for like all of 10 days, is playing a lot of snaps next to Jayon Brown. A little surprised that it's not David Long in there, but I think that's more of they've got to have somebody that's a communicator and can call out the defense on the field, and I'm not sure they're quite ready to trust David Long with that responsibility.
Yeah, and that actually ties in with a question we got there in chat from Football and Other F Words. You may be familiar with that one. So what kind of adjustments can we see in the second half for a Noah Fant? I have some thoughts on that. I'll let you go first there.
Yeah, I think it's got to be a Byard or maybe even putting a corner on him, because frankly, Fant isn't a terribly physical player. He's more of a speed guy. So I wouldn't be opposed to putting one of the longer corners on him, maybe a Christian Fulton, and seeing how he does with it.
Yeah, I think if it were me, I'm going to put somebody a little bit more in his face, somebody that's not afraid to get physical at the line, kind of like this thing. When he gets out in space, he's that size-speed combination that's just going to be a problem, but he isn't a Rob Gronkowski at the line kind of thing where there's no way you can win. So I'd like to see him, even if you're going to put a corner, I'd almost like to see a Malcolm Butler that you kind of move inside and kind of play on him, put him right in his face, and drive him right off the line. So make him play that physical game. So what's your thought in the second half?
They've got to get the mental errors under control. I think if they do, I think they're the better football team. They played about as sloppy as they possibly could have in the first half, and they still came away with what should have been a 13-7 lead if they could make field goals. You just really, really hope this does not come down to a kick at the end of the game for the Titans. So, I think they get it under control and maybe play better in the second half here.
Yeah, my biggest worry is again on defense with them being down Rashaan Evans, having three outside linebackers that were healthy, and so I wonder, does that altitude? Everybody's talked about it. I wasn't too worried about it until we're kind of hit this point where you've got one of your main run stopping linebackers out of the game. I'm curious if they're going to start to get worn down. So I'd like to see them come out. I think this opening drive is going to be real crucial. You need to get a stop, get the ball back, and frankly, I know this sounds really extreme, but you need to get a lead and make that game change to Drew Lock. Right now, he's getting to play in sync. He's getting to play on time because there's no pressure on him. They're getting pressure, but there's no pressure on him from a game management perspective because he's not behind the sticks. He's playing his game. So put the pressure on the young quarterback, and that's where I think they can win this game. If they don't, I think it could be a disappointing second half.
Absolutely, yeah. Get up early here, and then get on King Henry and ride them into the fourth quarter.
Absolutely. So, any questions out there? Any other thoughts from the fans before we wrap it up? I know this is going to be a quick show, so appreciate everybody jumping on there. One big announcement we did say we were going to say over at BroadwaySportsMedia.com, we are going to be running a new promotion here. So if you are not already a Broadway Premium member, where you can get tons of great articles from my man Mike Herndon right here on screen, right? John Glennon. We're going to have stuff from Superhorn doing breakdowns, have Ryan Watson in the trenches, which would be really fun after tonight's game. Head over to BroadwaySportsMedia.com, use the discount code KICKOFF30, and take advantage of everything that's there. Are we doing this every game? I don't know if you're talking about the promo or if you are talking about the halftime show. Yes, we are doing the halftime show every single game. Promo, you'll have to wait and see on that one. Should you take another shot? I am not, especially with the news out there today or this week with Isaiah Wilson. I'm going to say drink responsibly.
If you're home, maybe, sure. Why not?
Absolutely. Hey, we talked about Clowney a little bit at the beginning. He's been everything as advertised. He's been great. I'm curious with him only having a little bit of camp, how he's going to hold up in the second half because he is playing a ton.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think we already saw some hands on the hips, especially at the end of the second half or second quarter from the Titans defense. I'm interested to see how Clowney holds up because he is playing a lot. He's probably been out there for 80+% of the snaps so far.
Yep. Does it feel like Tannehill has had more pressure on him this game, or is that just me? I do think he's had quite a bit of pressure. One thing that does bring up, though, is I was interested to see how much they were going to help out that right side. They haven't been overly heavy to the right side. They've been very tight end heavy on helping both sides pretty evenly. Yep. So I think it's been a good balance.
Yeah, and I think part of that is Chubb is mostly lining up over Lawan over there, and he's obviously the biggest threat.
Yep, absolutely. Well, hey, I know this is a short show. Yes, we're doing this every half. If you all are still awake and have sleeping problems, feel free to tune in to the Sunday Night Roundtable, which will take off right at the end of this game. Have lots of members of Broadway Sports Media on there. If you can't catch it live, it will be up in the morning for everybody to get your immediate reactions to the game. So appreciate everybody joining me and Mike. Make sure, again, you head over to BroadwaySportsMedia.com. Use that promo code KICKOFF30 to get 30% off your premium membership for life. Appreciate it, everybody.
Thanks, yes.